Hello my friends, and welcome to a safe space for all. Today I'm going to be talking about social media, why I took a social media detox, why I don't use it nearly as much anymore, and whether or not you should as well, how to tell if you should take a detox as well. I have talked about this plenty of times in my other videos, but only briefly. I've never made a whole video dedicated to this topic, going in depth about it, but I have so much to say about it and I'm really passionate about it. So that is what we're talking about today. And I know it's quite interesting that I'm talking about this because I am a content creator myself. I make content with the intention for people to consume that content. But I do not think social media itself is bad. I think it's the way that we use it and the way that we're so addicted to it that can be really harmful. But I think when using it to build communities, to connect with people that resonate with you, to learn about things that really benefit yourself, that really benefit your life and help you as a person, that is the best way to use social media. So I'm not saying that all social media is bad or that we should never use it, but I do think that we as a society need to be so much more mindful about how we consume social media and how often we consume social media, but I'm going to get further into that. In the current world that we live in, there's kind of a war on the human mind. Okay, there's so many different things trying to catch our attention. There's so much stimulation at all times. No wonder people find it hard to be present. No wonder people find it hard to just sit down and meditate and not think about anything. And basically, most of us do have a severe addiction to our phones. I think so many people are in denial about it, and I was in denial about that for a long time, but really, notice your behaviors with your phone. Become an observer to the way that you behave around your phone. Like, how often do you have that itch, like that urge to check it? If I'm trying to focus on something, I have to put my phone out of sight, because if my phone is in sight, there's just gonna be some urge in me, some itch in me that is going to want to check it every few minutes to see if someone texted me back or to see if I got a notification or whatever, and I think that's most people. Okay, I know you might not want to admit it to yourself, and that's fine. Or, if that's not your relationship with your phone, then beautiful. But I still think that this video can be helpful to everyone because social media has really, dominated the world as of lately. And there are so many benefits to social media. I love social media for many reasons, but I also hate it for many reasons. And, the main purpose of this video is just learning to be more mindful with our use of our phones and technology in general. I almost don't even know where to start, so let's just stick to my outline for this video so I don't get too off track. But basically, I grew up staring at a screen. I wish I didn't. That's not my parents' fault. I remember, all of my family members telling me that I needed to get off of the computer, but I was just glued to the computer, either playing computer games or watching videos. I did spend a lot of time outside too, don't get me wrong. I would say I was one of the last people in this generation to have a regular childhood at the beginning, but as soon as technology became prominent, I would spend, hours outside, but also hours staring at a screen, playing computer games. Then when I was 12, 13 years old, that's when I got a Facebook, and then Facebook turned into Twitter, and then Twitter turned into Instagram, and, here we are today with all of the various different social platforms. I genuinely think that my use of technology and staring at a screen for a decade of my life has played a huge part in my anxiety, in my social anxiety, in my depression, in my brain fog. I definitely think it impacted my brain in a pretty negative way. Once again, that's not to say that there aren't many benefits of social media and technology as well. Our world has advanced so much. There is so much opportunity for creators out there. That is probably my favorite thing about it. It's also such an amazing way to connect with people, really. I have found amazing friends through social media. And really the biggest thing is, people actually have awareness now of things going on in the world. They have awareness of new concepts that they were never exposed to before. There's so much information and opportunity to learn using technology as well. So I think it's amazing in many ways. Don't get me wrong, but I think that we need to change our relationship with it because overindulgence and overdependency is never healthy. So I'm just going to touch on the different ways that I feel social media has not been healthy for me and has affected my brain. So the first one I would say is procrastination. We used to live in a world where, if there was stuff that you needed to do, you just did it because what else were you going to do, right? But now it's like it's so easy to procrastinate because what seems so much more appealing than having to work hard for something is getting that instant gratification. Watching hours of shows on Netflix, watching hours of mindless content, scrolling through pictures and just numbing our minds and not having to deal with our life responsibilities. Another way is having a very short attention span. Now, I would like to think that this is something that I have improved a lot with because for the last couple years, I've been practicing meditation and I've been practicing some yoga and I've been reading a lot of books. Sitting down and reading a book really requires time and commitment. And I think that's why everyone nowadays, like anytime someone passes me when I'm reading a book, they're like, oh, I wish I could read. I wish I wanted to read. I hate reading. In my head, I'm just like, it's because you have a short attention span now because of social media. You can't even sit down and read a book for a few minutes because this is how, the internet has shaped your brain. For example, so often we watch a movie and we scroll on social media at the same time. Like, how much stimulation do we need? The movie isn't even enough. The movie isn't even enough, but we have to scroll on our phones at the same time. It's just like, it's mind-blowing to me. So that's another example, a huge one for me that I place a lot of blame on my phone is having brain fog and low energy levels and feeling very drained after. Whenever I spend a long period of time scrolling on my phone, I never feel energized after. I never feel good after. I just feel drained. That's what it makes me feel like. I feel drained, like I missed out on some important hours of my life. Another reason why I felt it wasn't healthy for me was because of the comparison aspect, of course. I'm always happy for other people, but at the same time, that social media is a highlight reel of everyone's lives. So it doesn't really matter who you are or where you are at in life. Going on social media is always going to capture everyone's highlights, and it just so often makes us feel like we are behind in life, that we are not achieving the things that other people are achieving. Likely that person is struggling with very similar things and we don't see that. So comparison is obviously a big one. Everyone knows this. Also, social anxiety. This is a big one, and I feel like this is why so many people have social anxiety now, and I really strongly think that it's because of just years of communicating most of our thoughts and feelings through a screen and not saying it to people's faces. And the last reason why social media has not been very helpful for me is the lengths that I would go to get pictures worthy of posting. How so many times, instead of just living in the moment, I would just feel this urge, this desire, like this I have to post this type thing, and it's just like, why? I know a lot of it has to do with I'm really into self-expression, and in some ways that could be healthy, but that's why I keep coming back to, changing our relationship with it, being more mindful with it, because self-expression can be an amazing thing. That's why I still do use social media, and I don't know if I'll ever delete my account completely. I love expressing myself through social media, but I would also see myself going to extreme measures to get pictures worthy of posting and wasting so many hours just like editing a photo perfectly or trying to get an exact moment on camera or trying to perfect myself or whatever, So that's a lot of flaws. Like, that's a lot of harmful behaviors that are caused from technology. And please comment down below if you experience any of these or you relate to this so that I can feel less alone. Now, we really cannot blame ourselves for this. When you've been using something for years and years and years, your brain and your body is programmed to do that, and it's really uncomfortable to stop doing it. It altered my brain chemistry, like anything that you do frequently does. And very worth mentioning, we get dopamine hits from notifications. This is a huge thing too. This is why it's so beneficial to take a detox, is because we have this addiction to the dopamine that is produced when we see notifications on our phone. And tech companies know this. That's why they do it. That's why they've perfected the algorithm to a T so that you can't get off, so that you stay on there for hours, so that you keep getting those hits of dopamine and you become more and more hooked. So that's why detoxes are so valuable. All right, so when I decided to give it up, well, I was stuck in the same loop every day of wasting time, of procrastinating, yet wanting to have a better life, wanting to have a brighter future, wanting to experience more, but then wasting hours staring at a screen. And for what? My dream life had nothing to do with staring at a screen, yet I was wasting so many precious hours of my life doing that. At this point, I would have frequent urges to throw my phone off a cliff, literally. I would actually daydream about throwing my phone off a cliff and walking away and just never looking back, because I became so frustrated with this cycle. And I think a lot of people are beginning to feel that way. I began to just feel an overall bad energy and relationship with my phone, and at that point I just knew that change was necessary. I didn't even have to spend hours on my phone to feel drained. It was like I would go on social media for 5 minutes and feel drained, because I just created this bad association with it after years of experiencing this cycle and this struggle and just becoming so frustrated with it all. So at this point, I was like, why am I even still using it? It would be so easy to take a detox at this point. And it was. My initial goal was 21 days, but I had no problem doing that. And I don't know how long I went. I think it was like a couple months or so. At this point, it wasn't even hard because I was just so done. During this time, my productivity went way up, my creativity went way up. I knew it would. None of this was a surprise to me. It was more so just like finally having the self-control to do it. In my opinion, or at least in my experience, once you go a few days without it, or a week without it, it's not nearly as hard after that. The urges are really gonna be in the beginning, the first few days, because your brain and your body are literally addicted to those hits of dopamine and programmed to constantly check it and think about it. But thinking about that alone is really good reason to want to take a detox, because I don't know about you, but I don't ever want something to have control over me. My relationship with it, I definitely think changed after the break for the better. I definitely do still have unhealthy urges with it for sure. I don't know if that's something that would ever go away, or if it did, I would probably need to spend like a year off of social media for that to really fade. You can't reprogram over a decade of internet addiction in a month. Like, you just can't. But I already feel way less addicted for sure. I'm less programmed to scroll constantly after giving myself that dopamine detox. So I don't have urges as often as I used to, and it's also easier for me to ignore those urges when they come. I see myself taking many more breaks in the future. I would be down to take a break like every month. I would be down to take like a 6-month break. I don't know. We'll see where I go from this point. I'm just proud of myself for taking that initial break, and already I've seen many positive changes. I'm now really observing my patterns when I post and observing the way that I feel when I post. Is this coming from a place of really seeking validation, or is this coming from a place of inspiration? Is this coming from a place of just genuinely wanting to share my thoughts with the world or share a really pretty picture? Or is this coming from a place of me wanting to look perfect to the world? I'm really trying to witness that energy, how I'm feeling when I'm posting, recognizing when I'm spending too long on it, and whether I'm feeling drained or energized. For example, I really am kind of a perfectionist when it comes to the content I post. So a lot of the content that I post on my Safe Space with Sierra Instagram, I do spend a lot of time writing out my captions and things like that. More time than I should, but I'm really trying to be more mindful about it now and not trying to perfect things as much. It's just not worth it for my mental health to drain myself by spending that much time thinking about it, So moving on to the last part of the video, how to tell if you should take a break. Should you also take a social media detox? I think this comes down to your answer to a few questions. First, you want to notice your energy around using it. Do you feel drained when you are using social media? Are you just passing time? Are you using it when you have the free time to use it, such as when you're eating or relaxing from work? Or are you wasting important hours of the day? Are you sabotaging your growth, such as procrastinating on important tasks or getting sucked in for hours or avoiding responsibilities? Or another important question to ask yourself is, how does the content you consume make you feel? Does it make you feel insecure? Does it make you feel drained? Or does it make you feel inspired? Does it make you feel educated? Does it make you feel comforted? For example, going back to my vice, sometimes I spend hours watching stuff I don't even resonate with just because it's entertaining. And I can really tell that difference in my energy because it doesn't actually make me feel good after watching it. It's just kind of a way of numbing and of avoiding actually living life. Avoiding doing those things that may seem hard at the time, but you know is actually going to pay off far more than, watching something that doesn't resonate just because it's entertaining. Consuming content isn't bad, but it's what we consume that can be harmful. It can feel really nice to relax and just watch a good movie. You may feel even more replenished afterwards because you gave yourself that time to yourself to breathe and to be present with the movie. So it's definitely not always bad, but it can be for sure. Another question to ask yourself is, do you check social media out of habit or with an intention? Or if you put your phone down, do you have this itch, this urge to keep checking it? Or are you able to just focus on a meal, right? Most of us can't even eat a meal without picking up our phone. Do you have boundaries when it comes to how much you use your phone? Are you able to pick it up and not think about it? Or do you have an obsessive urge to pick it up again? Can you decide to stop checking it right when you wake up? Or when you're eating a meal? Or when you're with a loved one? Or is that hard? Is that difficult? Be honest with yourself when answering these questions. I'd go as far as to say that most people need a break from their phone, even if it's just for a weekend. I know that not everyone is as addicted, but I think no matter what, no matter who you are, everyone could benefit. This video is really not geared to be a negative video. I really hope that no one perceives it that way, but I really just wanted to share my experience in case that anyone may relate with me and spread some awareness about it, because I think for a lot of young people, this has always been their normal. So they're not really questioning if their behaviors are unhealthy. There are so many documentaries nowadays made on this concept. There are so many people talking about this because it's a real problem in our society. It's so clearly a problem. But I think that it's so easy to be in denial of it because it's so easy to be on autopilot when we're so wrapped up in these behaviors. We're not able to look at ourselves objectively and really realize when these behaviors are affecting our lives negatively. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about this, if you're going to take a detox, if you have before, and what you experienced during that detox. I love to keep the conversation going in the comments down below. And also, if you resonated with this video in any way, feel free to give it a like or subscribe to my channel. That really helps support me in the YouTube algorithm, as I am a smaller creator at the moment and I want this video to reach others who need to hear it. My goal is to create a safe space for all where anyone can come to learn and to grow and to heal and to connect with others. So if you'd like to be a part of that, then feel free to subscribe, and I really hope that I see you in my next video. Peace, love, and blessings to you all.